Alright, so I'm going to try to go in and just explore freely in Bastion to meet some of these weekly objective criteria. And primarily just going into mines would probably be as beneficial as doing some of the strongholds that are focused on some of those factions. So Scar is obviously, or appears to be, the more prevalent enemy to come across. But as I've started to explore Bastion, you can start to find areas that are more um, influenced by those factions, so you can just revisit those areas. I never really noticed that light in the background of Halleck. Alright, let's see here. I don't know if you saw in one of my previous videos where
On my way here this morning, 3 separate people tried to sell me grab-it insurance.
This area in the back here was filled with crates, and this station right here for the ciphers was not there. So that's changed back. Alright, let's get into Bastion. Alright, so I'm just going to do primarily Freeplay GM1. I could probably survive in GM2, but this way I can go solo at it. And I'll team up with some players that are in the world, but not necessarily feel like I need to survive certain encounters. We'll start straight from Fort Tarsis. Yep, so we're going to be doing it on GrandMaster 1. Let's throw a couple of consumables in there. Let's do recharge speed. That's probably a pretty good one. Let's get something that makes my shielding better. Let's use sigil. And since let's get the ultimate sigil too when it becomes available. Actually, let me back out here real quick. Go into the forge. I might want to change over to my ranger. Just verify what I have equipped here. Alright, he's got a marksman rifle and a light machine gun. And I'm only doing this just to make sure I get the right sigils for this session. Still start at Fort Tarsis. Alright, so let's craft a light machine gun. Jeez, I don't know if I want to change my my weapons.
Let's get started.
Let's see if I've got anything better. Unending damage is 1,000 at RPM. Striker's balance hits reduce recoil. So let's do. I don't know if I want the pistol though. So right now I have Artinia's Gambit and Soothing Touch. This is this guy right here. Striker's Balance reduces recoil. Repair, weak point damage. Let's get... Alright, let's just keep it. So marksman rifle and light machine gun. Yeah, let's go with that one. Make one more of those. Alright, so let's equip that guy. Alright, so I got my sigils. And let's go ahead and get in here. What do we have? Another... Yeah, that's the one thing I keep kind of commenting on and providing feedback to BioWare is I wish they'd fix that. You know, sometimes, and I don't know if it's specific on what it is that I choose, or where I choose to start a free play or a challenge. Sometimes that animation that rotates around my javelin to give me sort of a perspective on what I've added to it is kind of a cool thing to see, and that gets cut short sometimes. Not all the time, but maybe 50% of the time it gets cut out, which is a high percentage, and I've thrown some feedback BioWare's way, pointing that out. What is it? Technical Tuesdays? No, Team Up Tuesdays, and maybe it's Technical Thursdays. Whatever it is on the Reddit. You know, I try to get in there and be positive, and I've gone into Reddit for the first time for the Anthem game because I know there's a lot of contested issues, and honestly my only agreement with some of the debate that's going on is with the legendary loot drop rate in the end game. You know, everything up to level 30, the loot progression, EXP, in Anthem is good. It makes the game entertaining. I don't know how many hours I have into Anthem. It's at least 100. But you know, bugs aside, every game has bugs, glitches, and technical issues. Those first 30 days that Anthem was released, there was a large amount of people complaining that it was buggy, so BioWare did patch after patch. You know, and for consoles, I think we have it better than PC. I think PC has probably got the larger amount of bugs.
Back in the field. Starting my pass on incoming reports for any unusual markers.
Okay, understood.
But I do hope that E3 brings some players back. But even if, you know, there was a comment made on, it might have been a Reddit post, or even in a YouTube channel, kind of talking about some things that BioWare could do to make Anthem better for those players that are most outspoken on the loot. And one of the things that they had mentioned was if in the E3 presentation they mention new strongholds, new content, new loot, new progression systems, all the stuff that they've been working on this past month in silence, and during the E3 presentation, they say, here's what we've got, and it's available now. That would be pretty cool. But even if they don't do it that way, if they generate a new roadmap, because May is coming to a close and the Cataclysm hasn't started and people are upset about that.
Star activity detected in the area.
I do understand that people are upset. I don't think the community needs to bicker as much as they have. I know BioWare is aware of the issues that players have with Anthem, but it is no reason to jump on Reddit and throw in one-liners that essentially just try to attack the integrity that people are having an issue with nothing that's constructive.
The Scorpion nest was spotted in this
That's
area.
pretty much the
That could
biggest
be
issue
trouble.
I have.
Scorpions. We need to get rid of that
Reddit
nest.
posts. So I don't really need... I might as well do some missions while I'm out here. I don't really need... kill scorpions.
And that's the first. Let's see. One left. Good. That part's done. We should secure the area before moving on.
Scorpion.
We've got more company headed this way. They're running. A wise move. They're no match for us.
Didn't really need to kill scorpions. So, what do I like about Anthem? I think, obviously, the exploration for any game. I love open world games. I love games like Just Cause, Red Dead Redemption. I enjoy games that have worlds that are free to move around in. I love games like Grand Theft Auto because it lets you explore on the ground and in the air. Obviously the gameplay mechanics and some of the options are different in all of these games that I've mentioned. I do need to kill scars. But I think Freeplay is where the entertainment is most at for me. Obviously, it's where you can grind for all the loot that you're looking for, regardless of the drop rate of legendaries, which is the highest tiered loot you can have in the game. And like I said before, that's the primary complaint that people have with the in-game of Anthem is the drop rate of legendaries. And I've said this many times in comments that I've left on Reddit that if BioWare decided to open up the floodgates and the in-game of Anthem was a sea of legendaries that you just flew around and picked up with very little effort on part of the player, the complaints would immediately shift over to Anthem's in-game is too short and the loot comes too fast. With every positive, you're going to have a negative. With every negative, you're going to demand more positive if you add it. So I understand that people want a higher drop rate for legendaries, but I myself, I prefer, if I can jump into, I'm not going to get a lot of legendary drops in GM1 because it's really not much effort on my part to just walk around. Maybe if you're in GM1, it should be based on time that you play, so put in 3 hours and you'll get one legendary because that's really, in GM1, at the level that I'm at right now, these encounters aren't all that hard as long as I, evade when I need to evade and don't just try to go in straight hitting on the javelin that I'm using. Let's say every 3 hours you'll get a drop. They can fix that part of it. But in GM2, you probably get a higher drop rate. And based on the encounters that you have, even in GM2, I can survive solo in GM2 without the need for a team of javelins to keep me alive. So let's say that in GM2 you have encounters that every 2 hours, and in GM3 every hour you get a guaranteed drop. If you're just flying around and really not doing much. But I am okay with not getting a legendary every hour. Depending on my build that I have, I've messed around with builds that have high luck. The highest I've ever gotten my luck is maybe 75%. Maybe even lower than that. And my drop rates, I was getting a legendary, at least one legendary every 3 hours, sometimes every 1 hour. Sometimes I'd get, a legendary drop just through world events, just through fighting monsters that I come across, and then obviously through going into mines. And I haven't done a big statistic or spreadsheet on what was higher than the other. But I will say that GM2 is probably where I'd focus my efforts on trying to get those legendaries. I'm rambling a little bit, but primarily what I'm trying to say is that I'm okay with spending a lot of time getting, a rare item that legendary should be. I don't know why I shot at you. I'm so sorry. That you're not an enemy. And I'm okay with legendaries just not popping up all the time. I am at the end game, and I want that end game to last. And I'm not extremely proficient on knowing exactly. God, that's a beautiful scene. Every time I fly over here, that is just a beautiful scene. I wish I could stay up at this altitude. I wish that they'd raise the level cap beyond 30, and I also wish they'd raise the storm, or whatever this is, the high wind level as well, so that I could fly up a little higher for longer. But that is just a beautiful view. So yeah, I'm okay with the legendary taking longer, but I understand the majority of the community wants it to be easier. It seems to be a very common problem that gamers have in this day and age.
The force reported outlaws in the area. They need someone to investigate.
There's a lot of media and entertainment fighting for people's time, and they want things to come fast. I'm not necessarily calling them casual players. There's definitions for casual and hardcore players. You can look up videos on people trying to explain that or bring casual and hardcore definitions to light. But I think basically people that want to come in, do rewards faster without much effort, is sort of the name of the game these days. And about the amount of time they have to put in is not meeting the rewards that they expect. Let's look at Mortal Kombat 11. Mortal Kombat 11 had, for its first couple weeks of release, people were not happy that the Towers of Time were not yielding rewards fast enough, parts or crystals or coins to take into the crypt. So a lot of highly proliferated channels, highly influential channels started creating a fuss about it, and NetherRealm Studios responded by giving everybody that owns the game 500 free coins. That's with zero effort, and making the Towers of Time easier and making the rewards greater. So while that answers the question of can we get more for less effort, it also now shortens the length of a game. And let's just assume that not everybody can get free games, review copy games, or have a disposable income to create a large library that is all clamoring for the person's attention. If Mortal Kombat is the only game that you own, and some people only own one particular game that they love to return to, if that game is shortened by making the game easier and rewards greater, then why do people, you know, if the act of gaining a reward is lessened, then the reward itself, the value of the reward is lessened exponentially. Hold on a second. What is this? This isn't Sanctuary, is it? Is this the... Give me a name. You're not going to give me a name. The Foundry. No. I was looking for... There's a... I'm going to go into this one just to see what's in there. But there's one on this map down over here. This one right here. The well. That is not opened. And if anybody knows how that well opens, let me know. That might be a timed thing. Some of them open during specific times of the day. I'm not sure. Daylight, rain. I'm going to go into here. This is the Foundry. But again, I ramble a little bit as I get distracted playing, so I apologize for that. But I enjoy Anthem. It's a beautiful game. The combat is great. The flying is obviously great. Level 1 to 30. I wish they would raise the level cap, because killing monsters that don't drop the loot that people are looking for still give XP, but the XP doesn't really give you anything because you've reached your level cap. So hopefully that's something that they reveal at E3 in the coming weeks. That would be awesome. I think this server is about to shut down because I'm getting a little bit of lag. As I walk forward, I get held back just a little bit as the game updates. So I think I might have to jump out of this server. Now this is just awesome. This Foundry is awesome. That's one thing I would also hope that they could fix, either in a future game. Yeah, see, I'm kind of getting pulled back walking forward, but getting delayed a little bit. I don't know if that's because of the server getting ready to shut down. Sorry, I've got my microphone really close to my controller, so I'm hearing every click and snap of the controller. I apologize. I'm being a little aggressive, not being as standoffish as I probably should be to help protect myself. I back off a little bit. survive in GM1 without too much problem, even against these brutes. I think it's cool to see these brutes that have been modified by the Dominion, because they modify most all the beasts that fight alongside of them, and then seeing the wild brutes out in Bastion. It's cool to see those differences in how the Dominion are all about augmenting the fauna that are part of Bastion, you know, with their own agendas to fight alongside of them. A bit of cover here. This combat is just, it's great. It is awesome. I mean, all the gear that you have, the combinations of gear that you can have, the different javelin style, play styles, it is great. And people that really have an issue with the in-game then try to bring everything else that's good about the game down. They call it rotten to the core, but then they contradict themselves and say that the game is great. They hate the loot, but then the game is great. But then they'll say it's rotten to the core, but it's not. The game has such great core gameplay that I understand needs to be augmented better with the in-game loot. That's what most people want. I guess give it to them. Otherwise, they'll just never shut up about it. And I know the other thing is people are having problems with the way that BioWare is interacting with the community. They have been silent for about a month in some areas, less than a month in others. There have been comments by BioWare employees that are less than a month, less than 3 weeks. But I understand that people want more news, more info. What are you guys working on? But it's been proven that sometimes going silent is the best thing to do when creating a lot of noise isn't working. BioWare replied multiple times on, hey, we're working on things, we're 100% committed, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I know some people don't have that patience, but if you don't have that patience, going into Reddit, going into Twitter and making a tweet with a one-liner that says nothing that's constructive and then just says, I hate you, BioWare, you should be shut down, is ridiculous. Let them work. Let them try the silent treatment. It worked for Hello Games, and that's another topic all in of itself. Comparing No Man's Sky to BioWare, a company to bring back No Man's Sky from the brink of what people were calling a failure, and then comparing what BioWare should be able to do with its larger employee base. Well, it took, Hello Games went silent, and nothing against Hello Games. No Man's Sky is a great game. I thought it was a great game when it launched. What's the next tier up from great? Perfect? Masterpiece? I don't know, it was a great game. The procedurally generated open world gameplay was, for me, a good game, a great game. Great because of its endless universe, something that had never been done before. So if Hello Games has been given a pass on what they were able to do, they themselves also went silent with Sean Murray not saying much about the game or what they were working on, and they were just allowed to work. He even had a TED Talk. I don't know if it was a TED Talk or it was a GDC talk, but Sean Murray talked to developers, so I think it was a GDC. He talked to developers about what it took to get No Man's Sky, the condition it's in now, being accepted and outright 10 times better in some people's eyes. He talked about going silent. Sean talked about going silent being a good thing, and listening to the constructive feedback and ignoring all the one-liners. There's obviously going to be a large mob mentality that I don't subscribe to. When one person says something that is negative, and most people are going to follow a fire engine to a fire, then a limo to a wedding, and I've said that multiple times. It's sort of a tagline for me to explain how people's fickle attitudes and society would rather see chaos and watch it burn than, you know, provide consistent constructive feedback. Sean Murray said ignore all that unconstructive stuff. Focus on the constructive feedback, the people that are playing the game, the people that are, you know, in the trenches, developers, people fixing the game, and actual players. And don't listen to the people that probably haven't played the game, haven't put in the time. And we can even talk about some of the people that have put in, you know, 400 plus hours, which I digress. Let BioWare have their moment of silence to focus on what needs to be changed, because what they were doing wasn't meeting people's expectations for fixes, for loot. Let them work on it. Let E3 come and go and see what we have. I just don't feel the need for BioWare to constantly be in Twitter responding to the kind of nonsense that people are spewing out. I mean, I think it was smarter than to just not sit there and fuel the mentality that some posts were having. You should be shut down, BioWare. You're a piece of crap. You know, the game is dead. And it was just, they've already said we're 100% committed. And if you respond back to that with, your game is dead, you should be shut down. I don't care about your past. I care about your present. We would prefer you to be shut down. That's not something I'm going to subscribe to. So I would say just let them do what they need to do and see what we get. I came in? It is, isn't it? I think there's an exit up this way. If I remember right. Yep. You know what? I like this is a foundry. I don't know if this is where they're creating the keys. Like, is this where keys get generated? I don't know if do they get pushed along this line? Because you see all these keys out here in Bastion. But I don't know if this is where they're manufacturing these keys. You see a lot of these out in Bastion. Like, these are the different segments of a shaper. But I guess that's what it looks like to me. Oh. You know, this video has a dual purpose for me. I am testing to see if this mic works out. I never know 100% whether or not the mic that I use works in all given situations. So if my audio is crappy, I apologize. Yeah, I figured there was going to be enemies in here somewhere. gun does not have a high rate of fire, but it definitely has a punch. Got done playing with the interceptor. No, not the interceptor. The Colossus and just the different playstyles. I get used to that playstyle. I think I can do certain things. But then I have to remember that I'm not playing against the Colossus or the interceptor. Alright. One thing I wish they would change is some, I guess, loot rates, the way things will drop, would be like mega combinations. Like if you can kill, I don't know, 20 enemies in less than a minute, or 30 enemies, then you get a cool skin or a badge or something like that. After this, I'm going to get out of this server. My shields get back up there. I love the almost bottomless clip that this thing has. I feel like those old Halo days where you're just praying, spraying and praying. I think that augments my gear ratios. Let's die in here. Let's go over here and get some shield back. Sorry, I got a little silent there. Getting myself in trouble. Valkyries are usually sort of the indicator that this encounter is about to end. This guy before he elevates into the shield back. chasing each other? Careful. Oh, he's above me. That's listing. That was fun. Alright, let's go ahead and exit. I think the exit's right over here. Yeah, I think I'll exit from here, get back into Bastion, exit this server. And I think they've made a lot of good changes, quality of life, and they did that in less than a month. They added, they lessened the load times that everybody was complaining about. There were videos by guys that I just don't like at all. Their channels are primarily chaos and clickbaits, and they get their money off of just burying games because it's the hot topic, and they say that the things that are happening in the game. I don't even know where I was going with that train of thought. I just lost my train of thought. So that's Sanctuary. Drink. Sorry, quality of life improvements. So you'll see the videos. I was saying that some of the videos that I don't like watching are play an expedition, loading screen. Go into your forge, loading screen. Finish a event in Fort Tarsus, loading screen. Now they've gotten to the point where I can go into the forge straight away. That's a huge quality of life improvement. Should that have been in the base game? Yeah. Everybody demanded that they wanted it changed, and they changed that. And that happened in less than a month. And it's a pretty significant addition. You can start expeditions from anywhere in Fort Tarsus. You can finish this expedition that I'm on and go straight into another one if I so choose. Which I'm going to jump out of this server, as I said. So let's go to the map. It's in Freeplay. And I know they could do better with the load screens. I don't like load screens either. This day and age, I feel like loading screens could be completely bypassed. But I think what BioWare did in the first month, and then they tapered off just because the comments were getting focused on nothing but one thing. People didn't want content. They didn't care that they got the stronghold, and I know that it was a small addition on that long roadmap that they put out, but people weren't interested in content. They were primarily interested in loot. That bubbled to the top. No matter what you say about it, people don't like the end game, and it's because of the legendary loot. They didn't care at all about the new stronghold. If you went into the live stream, it was just people saying loot, 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 loot. It would type in just loot. That's it. They didn't care about that they were getting another stronghold. As small as that content offering was, in the light of things, it was still not the purpose of it. Could they have answered the loot question? think they already did. They said, we're working on it. Let me show you what we've finished. People still didn't like that. So what did they decide to do? They decided to just continue to ask for the loot, and that's all they cared about. And it was the in-game loot, the highest level loot in the game, the highest tier loot in the game. That's all they cared about. And that was really just people that have put in many hours on it. They've already enjoyed the game. I think they've gotten value out of it, but they only wanted to know about the loot. So. Alright, so here, like right, this is one of the things that they fixed. Play another mission. I could go to Fort Tarsus, Launch Bay, which I hope they improve the Launch Bay. The Launch Bay doesn't do much other than letting you look at other players' stuff, which you could do in the open world as well. They took out Go Straight to the Forge because you can pretty much go into Forge from anywhere. I don't know why they took it out of here though, because if I wanted to get into Forge from here, because I forgot to do it before I came to the screen, I don't know why they took it out of there, but because you have so many other options to get into the Forge, I guess they took it out of here. But I could go right into another mission from here. I don't have, and I only see 2 loading screens versus the 3 to 4 that people were experiencing before. That's 50% of the load time slashed, gone. But that wasn't enough for people. People were just wanting loot. Just give me more loot. So, alright, I'm going to go to Fort Tarsus, and then I'm going to end it there. This is primarily just a test to see if the microphone worked once it gets uploaded to YouTube, because I do everything straight from my PS4. I stream it straight from there. I don't have a PC that records all this stuff. I don't edit it afterwards. Maybe I should get back into that, because I used to do that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the future of Anthem. Haters are going to hate. I get that. It's just being unconstructive and creating memes because it's fun and it gets, you know, people looking for quick laughs. You know. And I'll go back to that following a fire engine to a fire versus the limo to a wedding. A person, you know, that thinks it's funny to just go in and laugh at something while it's being fixed or while it's not doing so well is just pouring gasoline on a fire and then just watching it burn and laughing and think, oh, they'll learn their lesson. I mean, there's a lot of analogies I guess you could throw out. I just don't subscribe to the mob mentality that most people have when their perceived value isn't catered to. And perceived value is very skewed in the industry. I've mentioned before, like $59.99 for one game. That's multiplayer only. And then $59.99 for a game that has multiplayer and a full single player. Still $59.99. Which one is, you know, under or overvalued? The multiplayer is either severely overpriced or the single player with multiplayer is severely underpriced. But yeah, I definitely need to earn more coin. I get that through all the weekly, dailies, monthlies. Alright, I'm going to get out of this server. Alright, well, if you stuck with me this long and listening to me rant, leave any comments down below on what you like, dislike about Anthem, and I will chime in. I try to as much as I can. I believe in Anthem. I hope you do too.